everybody, it's Natasha again. Today I thought I'd teach you how I play Turn Me On by Norah Jones, which if you have watched my videos I played last week, so I thought people would either like to join in the singing with me, or they might like to learn to play it themselves and sing along with themselves, or alternative play along with me. So first of all, if you were trying to do this so that you were playing along with the Norah Jones original track, then you would put your capo in a different place to where I've got it. You'd want to put it on the 3rd fret, so capo 3, but I've put it on capo 4. If you were playing where I was playing but without a capo, you'd end up having to play the chords that are B, E, F sharp, G sharp minor, B7, C sharp minor, and E flat 7. So as you can see, I've avoided playing quite such awkward chords because, as you know, I like to make my life a bit easier. So if you want to make your life easier too, I suggest you put a capo on and play these chords, and put the capo on wherever's comfortable for you to sing along with it. If you want to learn to play it so that you can sing along with yourself, just try it out, because a capo is a really useful thing for changing the key so that the song that you're going to sing is going to be in a comfortable position for your voice. So the chords that I use in the version that I played of this song are G, C, D, G7, E minor, A minor 7 and B7. They might sound like quite complicated chords, but actually some of them are more simple than they sound. It's just because they've got the 7th note added that it makes them sound a bit more complicated, but actually in terms of the shapes that you're playing, they're quite simple shapes to play and to get your fingers around. So for the first one, which is G, you're going to put your 2nd finger on the 5th or the A string on the 2nd fret. And when I talk about the frets, I'm talking in relation to where I put the capo, so it comes after the capo on this side of the guitar. So you want your 2nd finger there on the 2nd fret of the A string, and then you want your 3rd finger on the bottom E string on the 3rd fret, and then finally you want your little finger on the 3rd fret of the top E string. So hopefully you can see that there. So it should sound like that. Then for your C chord, this is how you would play it. You would put your 1st finger on the B or the 2nd string, so that's this one here, look, on the 1st fret, and then you're going to put your 2nd finger or your middle finger on the D string on the 2nd fret, so that's the 4th string up, and then your 3rd finger you're going to put on the 3rd fret of the A string, so that's just above your other one, and altogether that should sound like this. And remember, with C you don't play your bottom E string. Then your next chord that you're going to play is the D chord. So for that you want to put your first finger on the G or the third string up on the second fret, so that's there, and then you want to put your second finger directly underneath that but 2 strings down, so on the top E string on the second fret, and then your third finger wants to make like a triangle shape by going on the second string or the B string on the third fret. So with this one you only play the top 4 strings like that. Now obviously when I play it, I don't play it strumming, I finger pick, so I'll tell you about the finger picking pattern that I use later. But for now, the next chord is G7. So G7 is very similar to the G shape, except your first finger is in a different position and you don't have your little finger on for G7. So G7 is with a 7th note added into the chord. It's not to be confused with G major 7 or G minor 7, so that's really all you need to know, but this is a G7 chord, so it sounds like that as opposed to which is the ordinary G major chord. So for G7 you want to put your second finger in the same position as you would on the G, so the second finger goes on your A string on the second fret, so that's there, and then your third finger goes on your bottom E string on the third fret, and then your first finger goes down here or up here on your top E string in the first position on your first fret. So that sounds like that. Then your next chords are E minor and A minor 7. So your E minor chord is very simple, it's just 2 fingers, and you want to put your second finger on your 5th string or the A string on the second fret, so that's there, and then directly underneath that you want to put your third finger, so that wants to be on your D string on the 4th string up from the bottom, and that's on your second fret again. So with that chord you want to play all the notes, and then your A minor 7 is much like an A minor chord, which you may or may not know how to play already, but basically an A minor chord has got 3 fingers on, but for an A minor 7 you remove your third finger from the string. So for A minor 7 you want to have your first finger on the B string on the first position, so on the first fret of your second string up, and then you want to have your second finger on the second fret of the D string, so that's your 4th string up from the bottom, and then that will sound like this. And you don't want to play your bottom E string with that chord either. Now the last chord that you need to know about in this song is in the bridge of the song, and it's probably the most complicated of all the chords because you're using all your fingers. So this is B7. Again, it's B7 as in B7, not B minor 7 or B major 7, just ordinary B7. So you want to put your first finger on your D string, or the fourth string up, on the first fret, so that's there. And then you want to put your second finger on where you had it for the G chord, so it wants to be on the A string on the second fret, and then you want to put your third finger underneath that 2 strings away, so that wants to be on your G string, so the third string up on the second fret. So at the moment you've got a little triangle shape with those 3, and then your final little finger goes again 2 strings away from that, directly underneath, so on the second fret of the top string, the top E, and that you don't play the bottom E string there, that chord, so that should sound like that. And those are all the chords so far that you need to know, and then we'll just talk about finger picking patterns. So Turn Me On has a waltz type rhythm, so it's like a 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, as opposed to your normal 4 beats to a bar kind of standard time signature. I don't really know a lot about time signatures, but I just know how many notes I'm playing. So I'm playing 6 notes in every picking pattern. Every time it goes over the same picking pattern, I'm playing 6 notes. But sometimes you might do 12, or you might do more than that depending on how long you hold the chord on. So for the G, for example, I'm going to pluck the bottom string with my thumb. I might remind you that in my other video I said you try to use your thumb to pluck the bottom 3 strings, and keep that free to move around like that, depending on which chord you're playing. And then you want to rest your 3 fingers, these 3, on your top 3 strings, so that they're there ready to play for any chord that you're playing. It just makes it easier to facilitate movement from the chords, and to keep the flow of the song going. So for this picking pattern, I basically go down the chord and then back up again, up the strings rather. So it goes. So that's plucking your bottom string with your thumb, and then plucking the G string, or the 3rd string, with your first finger, and then plucking the B string, or the 2nd string, with your 3rd finger. Sorry, that's the 1st finger and that's the 2nd finger. And then finally use your 3rd finger to pluck the top E string there, and then you come back up, so then you go. So you go back from the top E, you go back to the B string, and then back to the G string again. And then the C chord is the same, except that you're using your thumb to pluck the A string rather than the top E, because we remember that the top E, bottom E rather, is not actually in the C chord. So that goes like this. Then you go back to your G chord again after that. So it's exactly the same again. And then onto your D chord. So for your D chord, you move your thumb to the D string, so the fourth string, and just do exactly the same pattern with your other fingers. So and then for E minor, you do the same as you would do with the G, so you play your bottom E string in that one. And then you've got your G7, and again that's the same as the G. And then your A minor 7, so that's again the same as the C chord, so you're playing from your A string with your thumb and then keeping the other 3 fingers on the top 3 strings. So and then for your B7, which comes later in the song, then you want to stay again with your thumb on the A string again, and your other fingers again in the same positions on the other strings. So and some of the chords you stay on for a bit longer than others. So the introduction goes like this. So that was twice round on the D chord then. And then you go into your G chord to start the song off. So that was twice on the G chord, twice on the G7, and then 4 times on the C chord. And then you go back to G for 1, and then E minor for 1, A minor 7 for 1, and then D for 1, and then back round to the beginning part where you stayed on the D for 2. So once around G, once around C, back to G, and twice around D. Then it repeats again, basically exactly the same, except the second time round you don't want to play the D chord at the end of the phrase, because what happens is that the G chord leads you on to playing the B7 chord. So that part goes like this. So into the bridge there you had 2 Gs, and then you've had 4 B7s. So B7 is what starts the bridge off there, and then you go into your C again, so that's basically the whole song, and then it just goes back to the sort of part where you do the first verse chords again, except again you finish on the G and not the D. So that's Turn Me On in a nutshell, and I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope you'll give it a go at either playing with me or playing by yourself, and see where you want to put your capo, where's most comfortable for you. And if you struggle with any of the finger picking or anything, just remember to slow all the moves down. So it's always better to slow everything down and get it right, rather than to try and play faster and get it totally wrong, and you lose your rhythm with it. So I hope you enjoyed that. Bye!